Okay, thank you so much for everybody joining us today. We've got a great crowd and a great topic. Thanks for joining our webinar presented by ICC Innovation on Municity for Modern Digital Permitting. My name is Wayne Childs. I'll be host and MC. I'm the Director of Strategic Enterprise for ICC Innovation. And joining me for the feature will be Maria Dalal, our pre-sales engineer for ICC Community Development Solutions. Little bit of housekeeping before we go forward. One very important note, this webinar is not eligible for CEU credits, so it is informational only. Any apologies for any confusion there, but it is still very valuable content regardless of the CEU credits or not. If there's some instructions on the screen about using your telephone after joining the webinar, if you're having any audio problems, the numbers are there with a pin. And using the computer audio, sometimes simply toggling on and off. If you're having any problems there, you can try that. This webinar will be recorded, so never fret if something goes wrong midway. You will be able just send an email, contact us, and we'll be able to get you the content. We'll be recording it. We will hold questions. If you have any questions, just use the question box. The chat will be monitored. Anything emergent, if we're on a topic that needs to be addressed immediately, we do have a host watching that, and we will get those questions in. So why are we all here today? Just to frame a little context, why modern digital permitting and what makes it modern? Well, online permitting is a great opportunity to improve constituent service and improve staff performance and improve overall satisfaction both on your staff and your everywhere in your jurisdiction. The real benefits here is modern permitting can self-direct applicants. So the structure of the application itself consistently leads applicants throughout the community development process without costing little bits of valuable staff time walking them through. And when I say consistency, there's also an automatic structure built in so that there's a consistent experience regardless of which staff member may be helping a constituent with an application. A modern permitting frees applicants to make submissions and work on their projects on their time. They're not constrained to office hours or where certain staff is present. Smaller jurisdictions are often really stretched thin with resources. Larger jurisdictions sometimes struggle with consistency. This allows people to be able to work in the time that meets their needs. There's a lot of people who they're spinning plates, they're wearing multiple hats, and they really love the 24/7, 365 approach to doing business with jurisdictions. Online payments and tracking can ensure that fees are collected accurately and on time and in a consistent manner. Consistency is something you're going to keep hearing over and over again. Providing a platform for educating applicants on procedures, approval processes, and regulations, again, without spending that incremental, valuable staff time. Modern platforms ensure quality and completeness of supporting documents, eliminating pain points. Pain points is something that we really focus when we help design solutions for our clients. And really eliminating some of those inconsistencies, incompletes that happen with paper documents. It's so easy to lose sheets, to forget a piece and then have it come in later and it ends up somewhere else physically. We don't have those challenges when we're dealing with modern online platforms. And providing public transparency into approvals and application process. It facilitates notifications to interested public users. So just providing a transparency in your community that's highly valued. So a little bit about why talk to ICC and why listen to what ICC Community Development, ICC Innovation has to say about this. It's because really at the core of any application, any code enforcement, any community development activity, the code is at the center. It's sort of the kernel that everything else is wrapped around. ICC guarantees that code content that you're using in your permitting platforms is guaranteed up to date through ICC Code Connect API and through our ICC codification services. It also can pull in any zoning or land use codes that are stored on eCode 360 through its API. And you also have access to ICC subject matter expertise, which is critical. And it's on hand the entire way from consultation to build to implementation to operation to lead the way and advise, not in just building the tool or getting you started. So a little bit about the ICC innovation ecosystem and where permitting fits in, and specifically Municity that we're going to be demonstrating today. What we're showing here in this graphic is everywhere across the community development process, from code compliance pre-application um, research and referencing code content when you're just starting out in the application process, trying to understand what's allowed, what the physical requirements, the dimensional standards are for projects, using things like AI Navigator with Digital Codes Premium to ask plain language questions of the code and to get guaranteed complete and accurate answers. Right on through the application submission and review, the AI pre-check that is offered through Archistar, through final plan review, which picks up Municity. So we see in the red box, Municity really carries the day through the community development process. Once the application process starts, we can provide plan review through a partner DigiPlan that integrates seamlessly with Municity, right on through the application process where we start collecting documents. Document management becomes important. Laserfiche is where that comes in, and throughout code enforcement, property maintenance. Also notice below the tier of solutions is also the underlying subject matter expertise, which is the professional development and membership of ICC, and all of the foundational codes that supports the knowledge that is required for any community development process and approval of applications. So before we get ready for the demo, I just do want to point out, if you find today's webinar interesting, please join us for upcoming sessions. We're going to be talking about Municity for mobile inspections, specifically on Tuesday, July 28th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be talking about modernizing public access portals, transparency, and community engagement, Tuesday, August 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And finally, the last one planned as of right now is AI for local government. That we believe will be a very popular session on Wednesday, September 9th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So please join us for those upcoming sessions. And now I will turn it over to Maria Dalal for a demonstration on Municity.
Thank you, Wayne. Just making sure my screen is visible here. Okay. So welcome everyone to today's session. As Wayne mentioned, we have a few pretty fun sessions coming up. We could really talk about Municity forever. We'll talk a little bit about inspections today. We'll mention public portal, but today is really going to be dedicated to that digital permitting process. So Municity is our tool for that. It is actually really your tool belt. It has almost everything for every department in there. Each department or each individual user of Municity will get their own username and password to log into. This is a site license or a software as a subscription service. What that means is that for all jurisdictions, it's going to be based on your population and usage, and then you can have as many departments, you can have as many individuals. We have plenty of people that have board members, council members on to run reporting. So you could really use Municity as you see fit. Now, before we jump in and look at a permit application, something that makes Municity unique, especially in digital permitting, it's going to be this admin section here. So you will have full agency over creating your users and your user profiles. These user profiles will allow you to designate hierarchy of users. So you can have some supervisor users. Those supervisors will have full permissions. What can they do with these kinds of permissions? Well, we've really given you the keys to the castle here. You will have the ability to tailor your processes to your specific jurisdictions, to your specific preferences. You can come in here and edit things, your fee schedule changes, you're going to come in and make an edit. All of that is going to live under these separate columns, primarily your setup entity types here. When I come in here, this is going to allow me to, within my system, I can set each different department. That is going to act as a categorical filter for me. So you are able to separate your zoning permits from your health permits, from your building permits. That will also make it easier when we talk about a public portal perspective so that you can have all of that separated to lead your constituency to a more informed decision as they're making their application processes. But what I really want to focus on and show you is down here in this permit section. When I click on that, what will load in for us are going to be all of my different permit types. And bear with me for a second here. Sometimes my computer gets a little slow when I share my screen. But what you're seeing load in here is going to be all of my different permit types that I have set up within my system. You'll also see a button up at the top here that will say create new permit type. So I can create a brand new one. If I actually just tap on that, you'll see I can start from scratch. I can name a specific type of permit. You can assign it to the department that you have designated. So this will allow you to, again, create those specified applications. Contact types will allow you to choose what type of person is going to be required for us to have connected. Is it going to be the property manager? Do we need to have a contractor? All of these different contact types in the system can also be tailored to what you specifically use. We have some clients that only use company, contractor, manager. We have some that use owner, plumber, etc. Some that just use manager and occupant. You can also add things like descriptions, categorizations. You're able to set your expirations. One item we have here, I'm going to close this and show you an existing one. So let's go ahead and open up my above ground swimming pool application here. I'm going to open that up by just clicking my edit button. So as you can see, I can even come in here and make a quick edit of a permit if I need to. But here's a filled in one. So this is my above ground swimming pool, belongs to the building department. We require the owner to be the named applicant. Then we have our short explanation, long explanation. These are definitions that will either show for the constituent or for an internal explainer if you need it. You can set an expiration date and then tasking. Tasking is going to be those internal steps that need to be completed prior to any sort of acceptance. So this is how you will manage going through multiple departments, multiple hands of approvals, and we'll take a look at that in real time, but you can add as many steps as you would like. Same thing with fees. I have default fees on here of my application and my building fee. I have a default inspection. So as you can see, each and every part of your application, you have the ability to come through here and really make it unique to you, the processes you require. There are workflow options in here, which we'll talk about when we run through the permit, but depending on the types of steps that need to be taken for a permit process, whether it needs a fee to be completed, whether it needs an inspection to be completed, we can make sure that those are non-skippable steps in your reviews process. And then down at the bottom, I just want to highlight these flags down here. You may notice I have some options here for can the public renew, can the public claim, because an exciting part of this is within the admin section, we will also give you settings. Let me just hop back over to here, citizen site settings. So every single permit type that you're building for your internal staff to manage, whether it be a paper application or someone coming up to the desk, You'll also have the freedom to come in here and design an entire public portal for yourselves that you can just turn on and off with the click of a button. You can put notifications up at the top of it. So if you're from let's say the Northeast, you have a lot of snow, you want to notify the public that you're aware of the snow and you guys are sending out the plows, you can put that front and center on your portal. Let me show you what that portal looks like. This is what that appears as once you have it designed. You can have your background image, any sort of supplemental information. Each department has their own button and the user can come in here and create an application. We'll revisit this. We also do a public portal section on that, but I like to call it out so that you can start thinking about, as I'm creating my permits, I can design them with a public application point in mind to make that kind of a smoother, easier process, even as you're transitioning to digital permitting, or even as you're transitioning from paper applications for your public to digital, even though maybe you're doing digital for staff. All right, so now let's see what all of this looks like in practice. So me as the logged in user, the very first item that I am greeted with is going to be my search box. Depending on the type of information gatherer you are, you can choose your different category here. So here I would choose the address or the permit, and you can do a pointed search where I can search for the address I'm looking for, run my search, and it will give me a result. The other option is if you are a listing person. I like to have everything in front of me so I can go through. I want to see what my department's working on. I would like to see what my coworker's working on. We have a section on our sidebar here called dashboards. If I click into this, users will be able to turn on and off. There's an addition at the side where you can add your queries, you can add your dashboards. And as they've loaded in here, I have quite a few. The average person maybe will have like 3 or 4, but here I have one that's my permits and fees. And if I open that dashboard up, it's going to be collecting a listing of everything in my system under a certain status and with a certain fee. That is an aggregate for you. We can do these by individual, we can do these by department, we can do these by type. So I want all of my swimming pool permits that we're going to start managing, in early April. All of that is going to be in this dashboard. And as you can see, I've got them all in here. I can sort them by date. I can open up the applications from here to view them. But if you're a listing person, I love to call this out because this can even be tailored. We have mechanisms in here to make sure that you're seeing the exact dashboard you want to see for your department and job title. All right, back to our search here. Now, I have searched for the parcel that I'm going to put an application on. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this link button. What the system is going to do for me is it's going to open my parcel in a separate tab so that I can then navigate and work off of it. But the system did not close my search. If you look up in the top here, you'll see there is what looks like a little magnifying glass with a yellow icon and then a clipboard with a yellow icon. These are my navigation tools. So if I want to go back to my search, I will click my magnifying glass. If I want to go back to my parcel, I'll click my clipboard. So we try to make it easy, keeping in mind that you may have multiple things open. I might have my parcel open, plus a permit, plus a fee, plus an inspection. You'll have all of those tabs open, but I can still head back to my search if need be. So here's our parcel. The first thing you'll be greeted with when we are looking at this information is you'll see an image from the parcel. This comes off of your parcel ID information. So when we are gathering that from you, whether it be from a GIS source or tax assessment software, because we are a Google partner, we have a utility tool that'll go in and match to that SBL or parcel ID number or whatever that term is for you jurisdictionally. As we get below here, you'll see there's a series of tabs: overview, items, related, media, etc. Overview is going to give you basic information about this parcel. This is all editable information. But more importantly, as we scroll down, I have some items pinned to this parcel. This is how I'm going to see active permits on my parcel. I can see it here from pinning it to the front, or I can head up to my items tab and I can see everything created. You'll see this thumbtack icon. That's what will pin it to your overview section. So if you're the permit tech and you only really kind of care about permits, you don't want the other stuff on there, you can just turn it on so permits is what you see first. So here you can see this pretty active parcel. I have about 10 applications on here. I've got one permit. We are going to put in a new one. So to do so, we're going to click this Create Entity button. I'm going to type in permit application, and it's going to open up now my workflow. I mentioned earlier that Municity manages the application process through workflows and then their associated steps. So my first workflow here is my submission workflow. So my submission workflow ensures that I'm collecting all of the proper data for us to review. So here, I'm going to choose above ground swimming pool. And because I've chosen a specific type, it's going to start to pre-fill information in for me the minute I hit save. That's called templatizing, and that's what we did under our section previously, our admin section previously when we were adding all of our fees, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if I close this section, I'm just going to close these so you can see all of the steps in order here of my workflow. Each one of these I can expand or collapse, and that's going to give me a few rows where I can analyze the data that I have here and make sure it's correct. Our system will also color code for you. You can see these are saying completed. It's completed because I have my owner attached. I have my fees attached. They don't need to be paid currently, but they do need to be attached, which I see them here, an application fee and a permit fee. I can see the total, and I can see their status. I'm not sure if I have tasks on this one. I have one review sign off task. So what this would then operate as is a notification to someone on this building department that they need to come in here and review this application, but that will be in our next workflow. Now that I've looked at these, I don't have any supplemental drawings that need to be added for this particular one. Everything says completed, so we have satisfied all of our requirements, and I'm going to hit submit. This will now push us to our next step, which is the internal review. This would be the section at which you require your fees, you require multiple departments to come in and maybe create commentary, something of that nature. Any sort of conditions, any back and forth with the applicant would be happening in this stage as well. So here I have my next workflow, my application review workflow. As you can see here, I mentioned earlier, anything in yellow here is going to be actionable, something that I need to do, otherwise I can't move forward. So we'll start with fees. Within Municity here, we can pay one at a time. We can bulk pay them. As you can see, I can come up here and hit pay both fees. But let's say he's going to pay one with cash, one with a check. I can come in here and do an edit or a partial pay. Within the system, I have built-in payment tracking here. So if he did pay with a cash or a check or something like that. So here, let's go paid. I'm going to say he paid this one with cash. And then I'm going to hit save on that. For cash check transactions like I'm about to do now, those I can mark and make sure I'm collecting my specific information. Checks, I'll put the check number in. Things like invoices and receipts will auto-generate from the system. But I do also want to let you know that we also can integrate with payment processors if you would like to introduce a credit card payment system. That can be either terminal payments, the desk, so like the swipe or tap. You can do hand keying. And then also with the public portal, you can introduce online payments. So there's a lot of flexibility in the system. There's flexibility for your jurisdiction, as you know, with cross-generational jurisdictions and constituencies, and who's comfortable with using technology and who's not comfortable, who feels safe making a payment online, who doesn't. This will give you a wide array of options to meet everyone's individual preferences. You can also start to funnel your constituency into the public portal to make things easier on yourself by maybe introducing a couple applications or a couple types of fees. So there's really quite a few different ways to manage this, and it's all flexible depending on your preference. So now I've done my fees. You see that turned green, it completed. We're now going to complete our task. So again, I'm just going to open it from the sidebar here because I don't have too many notes. I think the application looks good. I'm going to go ahead and approve it. I can put my name on it here, and then I can put a description in here. Application complete and fees paid. From there, I can go ahead and save that. And now that all of my steps have been met, I can complete this portion. In this particular application type, before I give them their permit or their certificate, we need to complete an on-site inspection. This can be for all of your permit types or some of your permit types, but as you can see here, it's now added an inspection section that will allow me to come in here and I can schedule the inspection, complete the inspection, assign the inspection. So here I'm going to put it in, I'm going to actually assign it to myself. Schedule it for today. And here we're going to put a time in. And then we can hit save. Once we schedule our inspections here and assign them to users, they will also show up on our handy dandy calendar. So if you can see on the left-hand side here, you can come into your calendar. There are tools built into the calendar, so there's settings where you can add specific contacts and users, assign them specific colors so you can see who has an assignment on one day. You can also choose what types of inspections show up on your calendar. So if you are, again, building department and you're only primarily concerned with what's happening in the building department for specific permits, you can tailor that here as well. So here is that inspection. When I click on it, it's going to let me know that it's part of a permit approval process. And if I want to make changes to it or change statuses, I need to make sure that's completed within the workflow. So I'll click that button. It's going to carry me over here. And now I can come in and add inspection results or what have you. Inspectors can go out into the field and conduct these inspections and come back and write them in. They can actually just take their mobile device, which we will be going over at our next section, how that works for inspectors. But regardless of the method of entry they choose, they will be coming in here and adding their notes and results and changing status. So here, if we say everything looks good, oh my goodness, good. And then I'm going to change the status to passed, and then we're going to save it. And then let's check out that task is approved. Alrighty. So, in the meantime, you'll notice that in my tabs here, there's two other items that I want to touch on. One is the media tab. This media tab is going to allow you to create folders, upload documents. This is your container for all relevant documentation. So this can be plans, letters, anything that is supplemental to the application that you need to review. There's a direct area to attach these here. You can do that by just uploading your documents, and then you can grab it from your files here. So if I wanted to, let's see, grab my property survey here, upload. I can do so, and now I've got a copy of my property survey in here. I can even preview it if I need to. But now it is attached to my document. And then the other section, let's go back to my clipboard here, is comments. Comments are a built-in communication tool for you to have that conversation with either the constituent or internal staff. You'll start by grabbing from your drop-down. This drop-down here is going to show you both the applicants and internal staff. So if I wanted to reach out to John, I can grab his name here. And then let's see, I have a question for John. Then I can go ahead and type my question to him, or maybe he's missing a document or something or other. I can type that in there like an instant message, send that on its way. And now John is going to get a notification, and he will be able to respond to me back without having to call me or anything like that. Those same rules apply if I wanted to start a chat with an internal. So maybe I had a question for someone else in the department or something like that. I would just be able to choose an internal person. Maybe I want to loop them in because they are the person that knows the answer to the question. That will all be available for you too. And then maybe you've seen there's a drop-down permission here for public versus private. If there are chats in here that you want to make accessible to the public for information share, you can make those public, and those would be available for individuals within their public portal, which I do want to show you momentarily here. So public portal for your constituencies, once you have all of your different permit types set up, and you are ready to publish them and you're ready to send your general public, they will get a link to your Municity site, but it will be the public version of it. So your constituency will only ever be interacting with a public facing portal that you've designed for them. They will register themselves like any other user. They will create usernames and passwords, and they will be added under a public user profile that you will create and designate based on what kinds of permissions or information you want the public to have. What do I mean by that? So here in the public, as I am John Crease and I'm coming in here and I want to look at I want to look at some stuff. You'll see I have a button for property search. This will allow me to go into, actually, let's tap on it and I'll show you. So here I can come in here and type in, if I want to look up 17 Shapham, that's my neighbor, and it looks like he's doing some kind of work, and does he have a permit, or I'm going to report him, something of that nature. You can have them search for the properties. They can even open the properties, and then depending on how much information you want to share with them, they can see the basic data here. I can go into items and look at history of permits. So this is a nice transparency tool, if nothing else. If you don't want to do applications or payments to start, you can absolutely do something like this. Otherwise, they will be able to choose their department. So building, I want to do above ground swimming pool. Here they have the opportunity, depending on your jurisdiction and how you would like this to be represented, they can attach it to a home address or an occupant. So think like an apartment or an occupant on a strip mall, something of that nature. They'll choose, and then once they do, it'll open up an application for them to run through and upload documents or anything of that nature. So here we'll go back to Shapham. Oopsie, Shapham. Okay, I'll type it. Persnickety today. And then same way it was looking for transparency information, it will find that parcel to allow you to add information to. Now, we do have some customers that do have restrictions on certain parcels. Certain parcels in their jurisdiction are allowed to be viewed and some are not allowed to be viewed. We see this in New Jersey, especially with Daniel's Law. You can choose which parcels are able to be applied against and which parcels are visible. So you guys even have down to that kind of minutia there to dig into the details. There is another, as this is loading, I do also want to talk about printouts, but I'll show you what this looks like for the public before we jump over there, because I think the printouts is kind of the nice button on the end of this digital permitting customization journey. So while that loads, we'll hop over, and I'm going to head back over to my admin section here. And instead of in field management, I'm going to come over to this area called document management. Here we have different options for you to be able to create certain printouts for yourselves. I don't want to do that one. I want to do this one. So within here, you are able to choose what is the item in your system. So in this case, we're working with permits. So I want to design my printable template. This was a special use permit that will allow me to choose the specific header I want. You can choose the body of text you would like, and then you can choose your footer. Once you do that, you then have a printable document. And let me go to one of my dashboards here and open a permit so you can see in my issued permit. Once we have a permit, there's a printout button right here next to my renew button. It might be kind of hard for you guys to see here, but there it is. When you click on that, what will generate for you are those templates that you've created. So here it's telling me, hey, you already have these generated. I'm going to do it again, and I'll do it again too. So here is my generated permit for this instance. It's going to marry the header, the body, and the footer that I chose. It's going to bring in all of my specific permit numbers, names. It can bring in a signature if you would like into here. But now I have my document that I can share as that part of that permit process. You can see down here, there's a button, send as a comment. So if you are trying to get off of paper completely, this will attach it as a document there. I can grab again, let's send it to John Wick or Joan Wick. Say, here is your permit. So I'm just going to put in permit number 503. Attached is your permit for reference. And I can send that and send that attachment. And now John does not need to come into the office or what have you. It's check his email. It's all part of this communication on this application. While we're talking about this, I just also want to note in the settings, each user, including those public users, can set their notification preferences. So if you were sitting there wondering, how would I be notified of this? However you would like to be notified. Do you want the browser notification? Do you want a pop-up notification? Do you want a text message? Do you want an email? So we have a pretty robust notification system in here to make sure you're constantly being apprised of any comments, any documents being added, fees being changed around, what have you. And then the last piece of the digital reporting that I want to go over with you guys before we jump to questions is going to be reports. We have built-in reports here. If I click my down caret, you can see I have plenty of different categories here. Because we're doing permits today, I'm just going to drill right down there, and you can see I have quite a few different types in here. So maybe I just want to see new permits from the last, I kind of want to see the last 3 months. So let's see from April, and I want to see the building ones. So I have some built-in filters here too. From there, I can run my report. Let's just do a general permit report. 2025. Trying to find, it's the content. Well, let me show you one that I know has content, but this is essentially how it will run. You'll grab your type and it will pull everything in based on the filters that you've put in here. These search results are live, so you'll see I have a link button where I can, open a permit if I want. But what you can also do is you can export this to like a CSV if you need, or a Word report of some kind. You can also save these searches if you need to run them. And you'll also notice there's a little history button up here. This will show you how many times a permit, I'm sorry, how many times a certain report was run, who ran it, and what the search filter was on there. So between your reporting and your live dashboards, you will have a pretty robust means of finding everything, even of a specific category that you're looking for, a specific status. We can really tailor it to specifically what you guys desire in your reporting and in your reviews process here. Um, all right. So I know that was a ton of information. I appreciate you guys hanging in there and taking it all in. And I will turn it back over to Wayne now to go over some other things to keep in mind when moving to digital permitting. And then we'll go to questions. Be very happy to answer questions. I see there's a couple in there built up already.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up really quick because, like Maria said, we have a lot of questions. Maria, thank you for a fabulous review of Municity's capabilities. Because ICC has so many years of combined subject matter expertise in everything community development, from the codes to the process, um, we really have a good perspective to evaluate what we've seen in clients regarding the different technology solutions they've put in place. So unfortunately, we've been able to see pitfalls, and we're able to, a little free advice to hand out today, things to watch out for, because I'm sure many of you have either gone down this path and you're reconsidering a new approach, or you're relatively far along and you're considering solutions. So first and foremost, beware mostly of customization versus configuration. If you continuously hear, oh, we could build that, we could make that for you, we could customize that, it's a little bit of a red flag. You want to make sure that solutions you're considering have that expertise and deep knowledge of the processes that you're working with every day already built in. And it's merely configuration you're going through, because every local jurisdiction is slightly different. You want to look for that knowledge built in with those workflows that can be altered slightly, rather than sort of reinventing the wheel, because that becomes very expensive. And depending on how those solutions are built, as you make tiny changes down the road, they can cost a lot. Also keep in mind, solutions are not auto magic. Any huge promises you hear about massive amounts of staff that you can eliminate, that's not what this is about. Our solutions, we're always very clear to tell folks, this allows your staff to be better utilized, but it certainly does not eliminate the knowledge that staff has. ICC is well invested into training and making sure that community development professionals and code inspectors and code experts are well informed, stay on top of the code. They're always changing. These systems provide repeatability where it's possible, but it's not possible everywhere. And we still need thinking, acting humans in a role, interacting with public, to provide excellent services to all of our constituents. Um, Always measure your success. You have to use metrics. You have to use metrics before your project starts. You have to use metrics on how the provider is performing during the build, and you certainly want to measure your results afterwards. So make sure you have those key performance indicators in place, and you know how to measure, so you can report out how successful these tools are once you implement them. Make sure you share your benefits as much as you can across your community and across different departments. You want to share those wins. The more you're siloed, the more likely your project is going to be put on the back burner in place of somebody else's. So look for commonality, look for where benefits can be shared across departments in different areas, and to solve well-documented community challenges, or to meet goals of the larger community. It's really key in avoiding innovation pitfalls. Always make sure that success is a balance of technology, people, and processes. And if you find yourself a little too much of one of these and maybe not enough of some others, you've got some imbalance. A good solution always involves all three of these components. So, key takeaways from today: you want to tie innovations to these priorities. So, focus on those community goals, the big beats. Any of your larger, more public facing individuals, who are sharing news, and really try to capitalize on what are some of those things that the public is clamoring for, or that your jurisdiction is striving for. Try to tie your project to those things rather than just KPIs or measurements for performance within your own department. Real return on investment is far more than just price tag alone. That is not what this is about. ROI is about um, client satisfaction, service to the community, employee performance within the department, reducing the amount of time for turnarounds. In many cases, jurisdictions, you're in competition with your next door neighbors as far as how easy is it for developers to do business with you. You really want to use far more in ROI than just the price you paid for these solutions. You want to use data insights before, during, and after implementing a permitting system, because you are going to be iterating constant improvements. Do not get caught up in this idea that if you build it correctly the first time, it will be perfect out of the box. It absolutely will not. Code changes, processes change, law changes, and you want to make sure you're choosing systems that have subject matter expertise built in and configurable workflows that can adjust to the changing world around our community development processes. And that's where we feel like leveraging ICC's deep subject matter expertise allows you to help craft and maintain best-in-class solutions in this space. So thank you all very much for being here. I want to get to the questions, but the housekeeping in closing up. Here's some contact information on the screen for you. Our website is listed there. We have both Maria and my email addresses. For whatever reason, if we don't get to your question and you have follow-up questions after this, please feel free to email either Maria or me, Wayne, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. So at this time, I want to kick it back over to James and Maria. If you want to take that back, in case Maria has to show any visuals, James, do you want to take a cut at the questions that have come in?
Yes, I will. Hi, everyone. This is James. I've been in the background just monitoring everything. So, Maria, we have lots of questions that came in.
I
Probably,
see.
yeah, probably 15 to 20 questions. Have you had a chance to scroll through them?
I did, and I can
Okay.
start going through them. I assume that you will reach out to the individuals looking for supplemental documentation, and
Yes.
I'm sure James will be sending out to all attendees information. So I will be covering the questions about the functionality of the software. So I have a question here. Is there an IFC inspection module? So there is an inspection module. We do not specifically call it IFC, but it can be used for that. So within our setup entity types here, you will set up your different inspection types. Within these inspection types, or of course, we could also assist you with this. It's up to you and your comfortability with configuration, but you can come in here and set your specifications. So the reinspection duration, recurrence rates, categorizations, and then you'll see a section here that says checklist items. So what you are also able to do, and this also applies to like public assembly, fire safety, health, any inspection that you need a point by point checklist to be going through. You can set different checklists. We can tie them to ordinances. I hadn't mentioned that, but since we are the ICC organization, with Municity, you do receive up to 20 ICC code books that we can import into the system for you for reference. Those can be referenced in your checklist items. So as you're going through, you can see that they are attached. So my carbon monoxide detectors are attached to 705-1 in my New York State Property Maintenance Code. In addition to the ICC codes, we can also bring in your local municipal code. So if you would like to perform other sorts of inspections with that. It's also the complaint process. We will be having another session on the complaint process, but it also applies there. But to answer that question, yes, we can tailor specific inspection cadences, the printouts that need to go along with that, the specific reporting that needs to go along with that. We can build out all of your different inspection types with the specific fields that they need for reporting. If it needs to have a self-report portion for your public portal, we can also create some sort of application for self-report. So there's a lot of flexibility you have here with inspections as well, and you can name them whichever category and make in however you need. So the long way around that is yes, or the short answer to the long question, I suppose. Next question here is, will Municity allow for online permit payments by ACH, credit cards, etc.? So the answer to that is yes. I'm saying yes with an asterisk because that is determined by the payment processor that you elect. So we work with a few different payment processors, Catalyst, Forte, Payrock. They do allow ACH and credit card transactions. Some do electronic check. So as long as your payment processor that you have contracted with allows those, we can have those as payment acceptance. We also have some client just switched and is doing Venmo and PayPal as well through their payment processor. So it's possible as long as you are able to accept it, we can program that for you. And those usually also come with the convenience fees that we will program in, so that will be passed on to the constituency as well. How does Municity work with third-party permit processing and inspections as required options in the state of Texas? So we have quite a few different jurisdictions that have highly specific requirements. One of the beauties of Municity is it's a highly configurable software. So we're able to put specific fields that you need to collect data for specific reporting. We've gone through this recently, actually, with the state of New Jersey. They also have a lot of specifications when it comes to inspection reporting and permit reporting and fee reporting. We can also have, if it requires you to have, outside firms with your ability to create users, you can create those outside inspection firms or permit handling firms. We actually work with an inspection firm in the state of Texas out of Fort Worth, and they manage multiple jurisdictions in that area. And the way that they have it, we have it separately categorized for the way that they manage their inspections, and then on the municipality end, they can see that information. If you would like to learn more about that, I would be more than happy to have a discussion with you about that. Municity can do kind of a little bit of everything, and we can lock certain things down, and we can create specific reports for you. So rest assured that we are requirements people, and we will always help you to build that in mind of your specific requirements, regardless of your jurisdiction. Can you connect how an applicant will submit a plan review that leads to a permit being issued that connects to inspections? So all of that is going to be through, let me go to my public portal here. Once your constituent is logged in and they create their application, so their portal will also look familiar to you because it all is going to feed into the same data. What they fill out on their own independently before you review it will be specific to what you need from them. So here, this is yellow because I need them to fill out the description, their description fields and all of that type of data. So you can, once you go through, you set all of your requirements. That can even be payment, like if you want to require them to pay for the plan review ahead of time. Um, all of that can be included here. We can add a step in here for them to upload a document to you. So if they have to upload the survey or the plans, or if they have to upload like an affirmation statement or something like that, an owner's affidavit, all of that can be included. What that will look like on your guys' end, I prefer for my public applications to come in through a dedicated dashboard. So I would have a dashboard that would say permits, online permits, or in your case, it could be online plan review permits. You can really kind of funnel it, but they'll show up here. And then on your end, when you open those applications or those permits, you'll be able to go into the workflow and you can see all of the information that they've submitted. Okay, so the fees that were paid, I can go into the media tab and I can see, okay, the permit's been generated. So we keep everything in one consolidated location here attached to the main record with you navigating throughout the tabs here. The comments tab, all of this is, again, all in one consolidated location for you. If in the plan review process, you need to be having back and forth with them, that'll be in their comments section here. And that will allow the, and then in the items tab, excuse me, of my application, this is where I can see attached inspections. In this particular case, they failed their asbestos remediation, they failed their building, and they passed their above ceiling. So as you can see, we're keeping all of the records together, including internal notes, external notes. So you'll be able to find all of that data within here. And if it is a public application, the individual, so if I go back home here, the constituent has a dashboard similar to what you'll have as internal staff, but the only thing they will ever see is what they own. So here they'll be able to come in here. If I'm a contractor that's doing this quite often, I can come in here and search specifically, but I have everything here so I can open up those specific applications, communicate back and forth, hop over to my other one, pay my fee, hop over to my other one, ask a question about the inspection result I don't agree with, ask to reschedule. So all of that can be conducted through here. And then on your end, it's all held on the record, and then whatever that record identifier is. So if I go to overview here, that record identifier can be the permit number, the project name, or however you would like to dictate that, whatever's easiest for you to dictate that. Can applicants apply for a permit online? Yes. Does the system communicate with project docs? So we actually have integration with DigiPlan. Evolve owns project docs and DigiPlan. DigiPlan is their I think other category of plan review software. I can go back to the development team and ask about a project docs integration because we already work with Evolve on DigiPlan, so I can certainly get some more information on that, and we can get back to you. In that vein, anyone who asks questions here where we say we will get back to you, we are going to be using the email that you used to sign up for the session with. If there's a different email, please comment at that and let us know.
Yes, Maria, if I could add real quickly, I've already documented a few questions, things about competitive comparison of Municity capability to different offerings in the marketplace. I've got some in here about how long to implement the software. I have uploading drawings and describing some of what you just described with some of our partners. That question right there made me think of our integration with Archistar, which is a fantastic AI completeness check for drawings, as well as a code compliance tool. So I've got several of these noted that I think we need to follow up with email because we are out of time and attendance is starting to drop off. So I just wanted to note those.
All right. So I'm just going to rapid fire the last few questions here for you guys. Can more than one use be used to a parcel? Apartments, garages, shopping uses? Yes. You can identify the parcel. You can identify the occupant on the parcel. Yes, we have those types of configurable classifications with their specific requirements, like you're not allowed to have two of a certain type of permit on this property. Yes. Can each permit application have a unit number and use recorded in the system that's searchable? Yes, that is through our custom fields that we can configure for each property. Is there a way for applications to check their progress? Yes. Applicants will have notifications that they can opt into, as well as dashboards tracking, as well as comments. So there's several avenues for that. And permits given before inspection work. Can the system be used by the applicant to schedule an inspection? Yes. Inspection requests are being built into the system. They should be readily available by the fourth quarter. We are currently configuring that right now. That would allow the constituent to pick the best day available for them. And then I'm just going to cherry pick a couple of these here. Does Municity interface with Bluebeam? Bluebeam just changed their studio requirements, so we are rebuilding an integration with them. We are actually currently scoping what would be nice to haves in that integration. So if you would like to contribute to that, please feel free to shoot us an email and we can add that, but that is in process. For payments, is it strictly dependent who we work for banking? For credit card payments, it is, because they are the ones that handle the money. Municity is the pass-through, but for cash and check documentation, that can be done where you guys are writing in the cash and check amount. We can also do a report that matches it to the GL codes, so that you can export that, and that can be batch imported by your finance software. So you don't necessarily need to have credit card payments to track payments, but if you would like to accept payments via credit card, then yes, that would be required with your payment processor and a bank, because they're the ones that handle the money. We are the pass-through interface. Let's see. And can the software auto-generate permit numbers? 100%. We can generate permit numbers. We can generate them different by different departments. We can generate them in a multitude of different ways. Yes, that is something that we do all the time. What system is used for stamping or approving plans? So approving plans, it depends on what your requirement is. If you can have the digital stamp, then we can put that in the template. But if you require the stamp and upload, or if it needs to go out to like a DigiPlan or a Bluebeam, those would require integrations. We can also talk more about this, and down the road, we'll be talking more about planning and how Municity handles planning in particular, and these are great points to consider. But yeah, let me look into that and we can get back to you on that. And then here is my last one. Can Municity products have calendars tied to Microsoft Outlook for communications? Yes. It's currently one way where it pushes the inspections or event to your Outlook calendar. However, we have on our roadmap for Q1 next year, a more robust Microsoft integration that would include two-way with Outlook to make that process a little easier as well. All right. Any questions I missed, we'll go over and send this out as a post communication, so everybody has everything we talked about today. If you think of anything else, please feel free to email us. More than happy to talk to you about Municity anytime. And then Wayne, any parting thoughts?
No, just thank you very much for spending your valuable time with us today, and hope to see you at the next webinar.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.